talking about next year's Calder race is not easy because there are other guys who could get into it, but I went with the top three. Now, talking about this year's Vezina, that's a whole other ball of wax because it depends what you think constitutes a solid best goalie in the league and what voters think the best goalie in the league is. If you go by save percentage, and I made it a minimum of 35 games, which cuts some guys out. Marc-Andre Fleury, who's at 35 games, should get above 40 games. Maybe he'll get consideration. He's got a 928 save percentage. He's percentage points ahead of Pekka Rinne. John Gibson's next at 926, then Andrei Vasilevsky at 925. Antti Raanta is fifth with 924. And we'll get to Raanta in a minute because it's very interesting. Connor Hellebuck at 923. Jonathan Quick at 921. Smith is still qualified, even though he's been out for a while for Calgary. He's got a 921. Bobrovsky's at 920, and Tuukka Raska's at 920. Boston fans were excited about Rask and felt he was maybe going to get a shot at Vezina. I don't think he does. Now, if you go by wins, Vasilevsky's leading the way with 40. Rinne's next with 37. Hellebuck 35. Anderson 32. Holtby 29. Dubnyk 29. Bobrovsky 28. Rask at 27. Quick at 26. Tied with Bishop. Now, I've always had issue with wins deciding who the best goalie is because there are great goalies play on not very good teams. We'll get to that in a second. So the wins, I think those are taken into consideration by some voters, even though they probably shouldn't be because, Tampa, Nashville, Winnipeg, Toronto, Washington, Minnesota, Columbus, Boston, LA, Dallas. Pretty well all playoff teams should make the playoffs in 90% of those cases. Are they really good goalies putting up these wins, or are the teams in front of them really good? Goals against average, and this is kind of outdated. I know this is outdated, but I thought it would be interesting to look at. Fleury's got a 2.19. He's leading the way. Tuukka Rask is next with a 2.27, even though he's at the bottom for save percentage. So there's a correlation here. And this is something I always look at when people say who's having the best season. If you're the number 2 goalie in goals against, but you're number 10 in save percentage, you're not facing as many shots as other goalies. And your save percentage isn't as good as some of the other guys who are facing more shots. Pekka Rinne is at 2.28. His is more even. Connor Hellebuck, 920, is a 2.39. Antti Raanta has a 2.43. Antti Raanta is an interesting case because we don't hear a lot about Raanta other than obviously the meme that I was party to and I'm very proud of. But Ranta's record, so I'm going to put Raanta over here. He's played, he started 38 games, so I'm just going to go by starts. He has a 15, 15, and 6 record. This is for Arizona. He's 500. So Arizona, who we all agree is one of the most miserable teams in the league, Ranta's putting up 15 wins, 15 losses, 6 overtime losses. Could be a lot worse. You look at the turnaround by Arizona in the second half of the season here, which was after an abysmal first half. That's why it's not a big story. Ranta's a big part of it. Jonathan Quick has a 2.44. Bobrovsky has a 2.44. So does Vasilevsky. Gibson's at 2.49, tied with Bishop and Martin Jones. But it's interesting, isn't it? So, shots against, yes, Freddie Anderson gets in on this list. He barely missed the save percentage list, so he has 1,895 shots against. He has 56 starts, one more than anybody else in the top 10 here. A 919 save percentage. Lundqvist is next with 1,813 shots against, a 916 save percentage and 55 starts. Vasilevsky, 1,798 shots against and 55 starts. So, in one less start than Anderson, he has 97 less shots faced than Anderson does. So Anderson's facing roughly one shot more per start than Vasilevsky. Connor Hellebuck, 1,668. He has a 923 save percentage and 53 starts. Bobrovsky, 1,649 and his 920 save percentage and 54 starts. Talbot, 1629. That 905 save percentage is a big part of the reason why Edmonton's fallen off the pace in 54 starts. Gibson, 1,599 saves and 926 save percentage, 50 starts. Gibson would be much higher up if not for injury. So it's forced Ryan Miller to play more than I think Anaheim had intended for him to play. Pekka Rinne, 1,573. So in 50 starts, he has faced 300 shots less than Anderson. 6 less starts, 300 less shots than Freddie Anderson. If you want to make an argument that Freddie Anderson should get consideration for Vezina, it's right here. But if you want to see an interesting argument, if Raanta, who's only started 38 games, starts the lion's share of the rest of the games, and let's say he gets to 50 games. Let's say Raanta gets to 50 games with a 924 and a 2.43 goals against. The question I have, does Antti Raanta belong in the Vezina conversation? My answer would be yes, because Ranta's put up those numbers behind Arizona's defense. And there's nobody right now who thinks Arizona's defense is playoff worthy. And I'm not saying that to insult Arizona. I'm saying it because it's a compliment to Raanta that is a 2.43 goals against and a 924 save percentage. So this is even. He's fifth in both categories. If he wasn't facing a lot of shots, you'd see his goals against average would be much better than his save percentage. It's not. He's roughly the same. Other guys vary. He's in pretty much the same spot. Now, he could easily drop, to 2.50 and drop right out of the top 10. But the fact he's number 5, and we're 68 games into the season for most teams, is nothing short of extraordinary. People talk about Fleury. Fleury has a 928 and a 2.19. But look at Vegas. Vegas plays this really solid defensive game. And even though, man for man, when you look at the Vegas Golden Knights, they're not necessarily a star-studded team. When you put them all together, they're very, very solid together as a team. Arizona doesn't have that. So if you want to go really, really crazy, okay, and you want to really impress your friends, and they talk about who's going to win the Vezina, I think it's going to be Vasilevsky. I think it's going to be Rinne. I think Anderson deserves it. Turn around and say, you know what? Antti Raanta has made a save, and he deserves to be acknowledged for it. And I want Doug McLean to give him the award when he wins it. I don't think he's going to win the Vezina. I'm just pointing out that when I was going over the stats for this video, I had no idea. If I had to make a guess, I would say Rinne's the front runner. Vasilevsky's probably second. And if you want to go with the sexy pick that people are going to say, you know what, he deserves consideration, Fleury would probably be third, and Raanta probably doesn't make the top 3. Fleury would get third because going into Vegas at the start of this year, nothing was expected of Fleury or Vegas. Fleury's getting older. He's not the starter anymore. Good thing they went with Matt Murray. It would have been a mistake to keep Fleury. And here you are with Fleury at the top of the charts, and Matt Murray's nowhere to be found. I know that's due to injury, but still, this shows that your top 3 are probably Rinne, Vasilevsky, and Fleury, which screws over Gibson. You look at goals against average. So there's Rinne. He's third in goals against. Vasilevsky's down here in 7th. Fleury's in 1st. But shots against, Rinne, who I'm saying probably gets it's down here. Vasilevsky's up here. And Fleury's not even in the top 10 because he's only played 35 games. Fleury doesn't get there in wins either. That's why Fleury doesn't win it. Because he can't get there in the wins total. But it's an interesting race. It's a very, very interesting race. Because again, you'll notice I went with Rinne. Vasilevsky is 1 and 2. They're 1 and 2 in the league in wins. Does it mean they're the best goalies? No. Does it mean they play for the best teams? Yeah. And they've got great defense, and it gives them a great chance to win every night. Do they play well? Absolutely. But when you're winning every night, it's easier to praise your goalie. When you're in Arizona and your goalie's putting up these numbers, it's startling. Because you'll notice, you don't see goalies from other bottom feeders. You don't see Robin Lehner in here. You don't see Cam Talbot in here. You don't see Carey Price in here. Raanta is the exception rather than the rule. And for that reason, I think he deserves at least a little bit of consideration. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Which one of these stats is a better indicator of who the better goalie is? That's the question. Because I've always gone with save percentage, but I understand some people don't like that either. So let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.